Hello folks, welcome back to the Urban Rider Studio to look at our favourite full-face motorcycle helmets for 2024. It's quite a varied selection, but you know how this works by now. These are just our favourites, so if you feel like we've missed any of yours, drop them in the comment section down below, and full reviews for any of the helmets mentioned can be found in the description. Let's get started. First on our list, we're starting very strong with the ARAI Tour X5. USPs to this one include the fact that it is one of our favourite helmets for touring. It offers so much practicality and so many great features, which I'll explain in a moment. It also offers one of the best fits. All of these helmets are what we would describe as a universal fit, but some are arguably slightly more universal than others, namely the ARAI. And what I mean by that is we've tried it amongst all of our team. We have some people with overtly round heads and overtly oval heads, and everyone seems to get on really well with the ARAI. As of the making of this video, they have a starting price of just under £600. So they are relatively expensive, but you really do get what you pay for with a motorcycle helmet. It uses a glass fiber shell construction. They offer it in 3 different shell sizes, and it is really, really hard. Now, one of the things that ARAI prefer in comparison to some of their other competitors is to go for the hardest possible outer shell and a particularly round design, which they consider to be the safest option in the event of a crash. Obviously, all of the helmets on the table pass ECE 2206 safety standards, so they meet that level as a minimum. I would say ARAI do tend to go slightly above and beyond. They have their own very stringent in-house testing methods for their helmets. Now, obviously, we've got quite a few helmets that could be considered good touring options. This is just one of my favorites because of the sheer versatility of this helmet. Now, what I will say is it's not the most retro looking or simple looking design in comparison to other helmets, but we have other options for that, which I will get on to. With this one, it's particularly versatile because although it has a peak, you can remove that peak really easily, which if you were doing long distance, higher speed stuff on a regular basis, it's probably recommended to take this peak off. It is useful because it will stop some of the sun's glare from getting to your face. But if you're doing distance, you'll want that off there. Now, it is pretty aerodynamic, and it has also been improved over the Tour X4 version so that it is quieter and it's going to catch the breeze less. So if you are doing high speed, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, especially if you're doing it in conjunction with the shorter, lower speed trips, where maybe you do want the peak on there. Unquestionably though, this has lots of venting across it, and it is particularly open on the front, particularly wide. Now that's great obviously in terms of airflow, but in addition to that, you have a great field of view on this one. It is one of the widest field of views you'll find with any of our full face options. The only things that come close to this really for a full face helmet is something like the Bell Bullet, but obviously that doesn't have nearly the same amount of features as this. The other thing you can do is wear goggles with this helmet. And we have some really big goggles. The biggest actually that we probably stock are the 100% Barstows, but even those will fit on this helmet, and you don't even necessarily have to detach the visor, although you could. But if you were just gonna whip the goggles on quickly for a little bit of off-roading on your scrambler or adventure bike, then you can do that and then obviously take it off, and you don't have to waste any time fiddling around with taking off visors or peaks. You can just get it back off and close your visor and go about your merry way. Practicality, safety, and fit, ARAI has it all. Check out the rest of their lineup if you want to. Let's move on. Next up, we have something much simpler. This is the Bell Moto 3. It's one of our favourite scrambler-style motorcycle helmets, and they come in just shy of £250. This featured in our favourite scrambler-style motorcycle helmets last year. Now, although there are competitors, there's a few things to consider here. First of all, this is one of the originals. Because of that, it has a legacy, it has a history, and it's got that iconic design. And that design has a big opening on the front, an aggressive chin bar, which obviously other brands do take off and they go their own direction with it. The likes of Bi-City are great options, and arguably, although the Bi-City is slightly lighter than this helmet, for me, the Bell just does it slightly better. It uses a fiberglass composite shell, and they make that in 3 different shell sizes. It has an opening on the front that is big enough to accommodate our largest goggles, the Barstows, again, really quite large, and they'll fit in this easily, as will the rest of our goggles. And that's not true of all scrambler style motorcycle helmets. Some of them are a little bit narrower and fiddlier to fit the goggles too. Feature wise, it has a removable peak, and that is it. It's got some vents on the front obviously as well around the chin bar, but they are always open, and to be honest, with an opening that large, it doesn't really make the biggest difference. You've got a double D-ring closure system around the bottom and a cloth liner on the majority. Some of the higher priced Bell Moto 3s come with a leather liner or other options, but the cloth liner is my preferred option, especially if you are going to go and take this off-road and you get a bit more active and animated. You want this to be sweat wicking and comfortable on, and it really is. With the newest version, obviously it now passes ECE 2206 safety standards, and it has a slightly improved fit over the previous as well. Lots of other brands have tried to imitate this style, but I don't think anyone has ever bettered them on this one. But if you think they have, drop that in the comment section down below. Let's move on. Then we have the SHOEI NEOTEC 3, coming in at £589.99, and this is our favourite modular or flip-up motorcycle helmet. That style of helmet isn't going to be for everyone. Some people won't like the fact that this is slightly larger than a non-modular helmet. That's thanks in part to the drop-down sun visor actually that this has. Now that adds a lot of practicality, but obviously it does make it slightly bigger. The mechanism also for this helmet, the fact that it can open, will also make it slightly bigger, and both will also make it heavier, although it is still a comfortable helmet to wear. SHOEI use an AIM shell to make this. Again, it comes in 3 different shell sizes, and they actually have space for a comms unit specifically suited to this helmet, provided by Senna, so it's great quality, and it integrates seamlessly into this helmet's outer design. Now, we do actually have other flip-up helmets, other modular helmets on offer. The likes of the SHOEI C5, for example. I personally think I prefer the fit and the features of this one, which is why it's made our list. And a big thing for the NEOTEC is it's actually homologated and safety approved in both the open and closed position, which I think is also true actually of the SHOEI C5, but is not true of all modular helmets. Some of them are only safety approved whilst riding in the closed position. But with this one, it has passed those safety tests in either the open position, so you can ride with it like that, or in the closed position, whichever's your choice. Another particular strength worth pointing out is how aerodynamic this is. It was designed in a wind tunnel. Well, that's probably true of a lot of full-face helmets from the more premium brands anyway. But with this one, because it's got that integrated comms unit and everything is really neatly designed on this, it does great in the wind tunnel tests, and it is going to be a quieter helmet for a modular helmet. It's got a very closed chin guard as well and cheek pieces, and the fact that you can get it on in the open position means they can make that a little bit tighter than they would do with other helmets, because you don't have to pull it over your head. You can slide it on from the back of your head and obviously get a really secure fit, and that's going to be great for soundproofing and for wind noise, if that's important to you. Our favourite premium option comes, as you've probably guessed, from the company HEDON. This is the HEDON HEROINE Racer, new for this year, now meeting ECE 2206 safety standards. These do also carry a premium price tag starting at £750, but the care and attention and level of detail that they go into in making these helmets does help justify that price in our opinion. They also use a lot of high-end materials in making these. They're made using a composite fibre shell of fiberglass and carbon fibre. It's incredibly tough and hard wearing. When you're spending a bit extra, you do want to know this is going to last you a long while. Also, it's incredibly lightweight because of that outer shell. So this is easily the lightest helmet on this table, even ahead of the Moto 3, which is quite a simple helmet already. So the HEDON has quite a few USPs over its rivals. It's also the slimmest looking helmet here. It is a medium, as are the rest of the helmets on this table, and you can tell just how slimline this looks in comparison to all the other helmets that we stock. In our opinion, it's also the cleanest looking design, and what I mean by that is there are no stickers, there's very minimal branding, just that HEDON logo on the front. There's nothing across the back or the sides. Really, really clean and simple looking, and because of that, these are arguably more timeless than other designs. You can wear this with a variety of different bikes and it won't look out of place in any era with almost any bike. It has a leather lining and trim, all high quality, contrasting as well, so it looks great, and there's a variety of different colours to go for. Obviously these have a starting price of £750, but you can go for some of their more premium options which are hand finished in their workshop. They'll have been through multiple cycles to get that finish looking absolutely pristine. The metal fixtures are really high quality. You can also actually change them out if you want to change the color and customize this a little bit more, although obviously it's nice to match that with the vents on the front. Now it doesn't have the most venting, but at least it does have some venting there. And then the visor is really high quality as well. And they offer loads of different tints and shades. And something else that's quite nice about that tiny detail that not everyone notices is that it's kind of double glazed. So you've got something akin to Pinlock on the back of that visor, but you don't have the little plastic pins that Pinlock needs. So it looks a little bit cleaner, but it still does the same job of stopping the visor from misting up. No question, this is one of the most luxurious helmets we've ever come across. If you want to check them out, links can be found down below. Moving on. The next helmet offers arguably some of the best airflow for a retro helmet that you'll find, and it's featured in a lot of our top 5 lists. This is the SHOEI GLAMSTER. Now it would also have nabbed the title of lightest helmet if it weren't for the HEDON, but this is the second lightest, and it is more affordable than the HEDON. These come in at £449.99 for a starting price. There are a few other similarities, namely the very clean shape and silhouette to this helmet, although arguably I would say the HEDON does look slightly better. This one is a very simple design. And although they don't have the same range of colour options, they've still got some really good ones. This is the Bivouac colourway, actually in front of me, and they keep coming out with new ones every year. As well as being lightweight, it's also pretty compact. I would say, again, this is the second slimmest helmet on the table. They make it using their AIM shell again, and it comes in 3 shell sizes. This one comes with Pinlock. It also has the emergency tabs on the bottom there to remove the cheek pieces if you need. And then you've got these vents at the back there. So this has some of the best venting of a retro helmet that we stock. So in that class, we've got things like the ARAI Concept XE. We have things like the BILTWELL GRINGO SV and options from Bell as well. But we do find ourselves continually coming back to the SHOEI GLAMSTER. And whilst a lot of those other helmets offer similar features to the SHOEI, I think the SHOEI just delivers it in a slightly more subtle way. For example, the Concept XE from ARAI does have vents over the top of the helmet, but they're eyebrow vents, and whilst those work great, they channel it in past the eyebrows and over the head. This is just a simpler and, in my opinion, a better way of doing it, because it means that it doesn't actually come through to your face, whereas it does on the ARAI. In theory, it should be a decent seal and it should just go over the top of your head, but you will feel that breeze coming in to your eyes ever so slightly, where you don't get that on this one, but you still have that great venting. And all right, the ARAI does have a chin vent that you can close, and you can't close the vents on the bottom of this chin bar, but they are on the sides. So it isn't blasting at your face, it's getting the airflow in there without being too intrusive to your comfort. The compromise I will admit though is that whilst this offers the best airflow of our classic or retro looking helmets, it is going to be slightly noisier than the ARAI. That is just something that comes part and parcel with better airflow. So as an honourable mention, I would say the ARAI Concept XE is our quietest retro looking helmet. And if you want to check those out, I'll drop links in the description. Last up, we have a very important category, and that's affordability. In front of me, we have the BILTWELL GRINGO S. These come in a variety of bold colour options, and they have a starting price of £215. And if you want something even more affordable, have a look at the Gringo without an S and without a visor. Those come in at £195. For a helmet that meets ECE 2206 safety standards, that is very impressive. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention that we actually do have some helmets that are lower priced again from the likes of By City. So if you really are on a budget, then have a little look at their selection. What I will say though, is that in my opinion, the BILTWELL are slightly higher quality. So if your budget will allow, it is worth stretching it slightly. And £215 is very competitive. BILTWELL's helmets have a very simple design, and that usually is what people tend to go towards. They like their helmets being simple, minimal branding is key, and this one really does have minimal branding across it. Other options that you might also want to look at are the Gringo SV or the BILTWELL Lane Splitter, which is returning to us. Quite different in style, also slightly more expensive, although not significantly so, but the simplest of them still are the Gringo and Gringo S. Now obviously this isn't going to be as slimline or lightweight as the likes of the GLAMSTER or the HEDON HEROINE, and it's not going to offer the same amount of features as the other helmets that I've mentioned, but it does the fundamentals really well. The visor, for example, doesn't come with pin lock, whereas the other helmets on this table do, but it has an anti-fog and anti-scratch coating. It's obviously not going to work quite as well as pin lock, but it will help. Now, it's also an injection molded visor, and they've improved the mechanism over the previous version, and it is good to interact with, and it comes in a variety of different tints. It also doesn't have any venting, but if you want an equally affordable helmet that does have venting, then check out the BILTWELL GRINGO SV, which come in around £250 and offer a lot of the same functionality as this one with some extra venting. And those were our favourite full-face motorcycle helmets for 2024. But if you want to check out our other favourite items for this year, I'll drop links for those in the description as well. Lists like leather jackets, mesh jackets, shirts, open face, and the like. If you've got any questions or comments, drop them down below, and I'll see you soon.